I try and keep that in mind when I like collaborating as much as possible, whether it be more than one producer, quote unquote, in the room, or more than one different things. Because it's like, when I first started, early days, like early 20s, maybe I was like, I want to write it, I want to produce it, I want to mix it, and then it's like, okay, then that's like 3 times you. So the 3 times you're good at it being there, but the 3 times things, or like you kind of also missing out on so much. Whereas now it's kind of like, I'll say over lockdown, for example, I worked with a session drummer. No, what do you want? I was like, I want you to play the drums. You do you.
Yeah.
We can chat about it after, maybe work it, but it's like, if I tell you what to drum, I might as well just program it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The reason I've asked you to drum on it is because I want your personality in it. And then by the end of the next week, we'd been featured in the Enemy New Bands.
Wow.
Thing. We weren't even a band.
Yeah.
We just put a name above it, and we were like, oh, flip. And then we had like pretty much every A&R like come to meet us, loads of management come to meet us. And then it was pretty surreal because it was like we just put this one song up, but we had done. And it's funny because like it's that thing of like kind of fate and stuff. Because the day before coming to do the song, the guy was like, "Oh look, I'm not feeling up to it tomorrow," and like I was charging like £100-200 a day, and he was like, "Oh," and I've had a bit of a bad month in terms of. I was like, "Look, just come over anyway." I was like, "I booked the day off to do it.
Let's just do it.
Come in, let's just do this song." And what would have been different? It's like if I said, "Oh, you know what? Don't come then." Anyway. He came over, we did this song, put it up, and then, Jazz Summers came to the house to say, I want to manage you.
Blimey. So what was the name of the imaginary band?
It's a band called The Vestals.
Right, okay.
Vestals, when you say Echo and the Bunnymen, it's like that was like a big part of the sound, and like The Cure, and like some like American alt rock stuff as well. And like it was kind of like, so we had done that, and so we ended up with Big Life so I ended up with Big Life first as an artist.
Right, okay.
And then we were doing that. We did a few EPs, a few 7-inches, a few tours, and I was still teaching and still doing studio stuff as well. And Big Life were kind of like, look, you should like focus on the studio side of things, like your songwriting and production, whilst you're doing your teaching. Like one of these is going to have to give at the moment, really. It's like I couldn't give up the teaching because of like income, really, and I loved that job as well, type of thing. But obviously, the dream was always to be making records. And then that's how I met John Dawkins through just like, I think he heard that band, he heard a few other things, and was like, oh, I've got this band that I'm working with. I'll send you some demos, see what you think. And he sent me these demos over, and I was a bit like, oh, okay. I was like, who is it? He was like, oh, it's the Enemy. It's their new demos. I was like, oh, okay, type of thing. He's like, would you be up for trying some things? Like, yeah. So I think, I just did like, made a backing track. I was like, oh, what if they did something in this style?
Right. And
it was kind of like this, it's almost like Primal Scream, kind of look more like it was quite dancey, but with guitars, like just a different look, really, just a different sound. I was like, oh, well, I'd love to hear them like this. And then within the next week, they were down the house finishing it.
Wicked.
In Pontypool, like walking down to Pontypool, Greg's. So and then spent the rest of that year really making a record with them.
And is that the Automatic record?
Yeah. It's Automatic. Yeah. So we did. I did that one. It was kind of, the big thing for them was just something different on that album. It's like where like they were like, we don't. It's not about what the reception is. That we just need it to be different type of thing. And it's kind of, I know a lot of people weren't into it, and I know a lot of people were into it, but for them it was mainly about making it just being a different record. I remember Tom at one point saying, look, if you want guitars on this, you're gonna have to play them yourself, because I'm not playing any more guitar. Right. Wow. Kind of thing. It was like, that's, it's like he was just needed a different way, a different process to make an album almost. But so I did that, and that was like the first time I'd like, as a producer, produced an act of that kind of size, maybe, and reputation, and with that success on their shoulders.
Yes, yeah.
as well. And also like, so a lot of that, it was such a learning curve where like, things have already started to unravel, not just into relationship wise maybe, but also kind of in terms of what was happening outside in terms of the business as well. So it was such it was a lot of learning how to deal with both situations, those conversations in a room when you're trying to, make a record and positivity and managing those situations was as much as like getting a good snare sound.
Yeah.
But the music part of that was like, that was the easy bit almost, without being, not in an ego way, but it was kind of like that. There was no questions on that. It was more about, motivations and things,
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting with that, and what a lot of people, I keep giving Daniel Eck a good kick in here, but he wouldn't have no
He deserves it.
He deserves it, yeah.
I mean, still playlist my songs, of course. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
Nobody even knows what's being playlisted.
But it's that thing of like, this is kind of like your first big production gig.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say, because most people would think, oh my God, you must be, be so difficult to get all the music. But you've been given that thing of like, if you want guitars, you do it. It's like, because they needed a different sound for all the emotional reasons, business reasons, all that kind of stuff. But to be in that thing where the band's relationships are getting fractured.
Yeah.
And then, which you're having to deal with as the producer to make it work. And then on the other side of the fence, you've got the business thing is kind of getting fractured with the way they're looking at the band. So you've got the manager then coming to you to deal with this. And you're the person in the middle thinking, I've got to make this, trying to finish a fucking record here.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
Which is an incredible thing to take on, as you said, huge learning curve.
And I've also got, on Wednesday, go back and teach year 5. Because at that time, I was still like doing like a few days in the studio, then coming home and then going to school for a few days and then going back to the studio.
Amazing. Wow. But I guess it's one of those things like, well, I got through this. I can do this.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a big one of like, if I can get through that, if I can, So anyway, we did that record. And I played session for those for a while then.
Right. Okay.
Well, went on tour with them, played like keys live and bits. So that was fun because like all I'd ever wanted to do when I was in the band was do a tour bus tour. And like finally with that, like we did a tour bus tour, and I was like, I don't need to go on tour again.
Yeah, I've done it.
So I've done it. That's all I ever wanted was that feeling of like going on a bus, having a bunk, like hanging out in the lounge, playing FIFA, like that thing of like, And again, I wouldn't change it for the world as well. Because that's when I met the band Jaws. Because they were opening on that tour.
Right. Okay.
And then since I've like made their last 2 records with them, since we're chatting about the next one, I do a lot of, like me and Connor have started a project as well.
Right, okay.
So it was like, everything, that's another thing everything, you don't know what you're doing there, what it's going to turn into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it be even like on a project with something where you're like, say there's nothing around it and you're like, I don't know, what's going to happen with this after it's when it goes from the studio. So you don't know who's going to hear it and be like, I love that. I want, that'd be cool to work on something like that. Or that's that thing of like, whatever you're doing deserves your full commitment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally.
Cause sometimes I, chatting to people, they'd be like, oh, I'm just trying to churn this one out because they're not this or they're not that. It's like, give them some you should respect. They're paying you to make their music.
Yeah.
They're giving you their creative babies.
Absolutely, and all the baggage that they've brought to it, and the stress and the strain. I mean, I've spoken to some people, producers who've become really busy, and then they've taken a project on. And they're like, oh, I'm going to give it to XYZ on the management roster to finish it off and mix it. And you're like, but the artist didn't want that. They wanted you to do it, and it's like it's
exactly. And it's about it's almost like it's about them then rather than what they're working on. It's about it's kind of, and of course people get busy, but it's but then it's like if you can't see it through and give it what you give everything, then it's best not to. And I've been there's times when I've been like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done. I've been flat out for ages. I have a little break and I've put something in. And I know I'm going to be flat out again, but it's like no, it's like they just there's no really, it's like it'll be finished when it's finished. Just kind of, they deserve it. It's kind of, you don't know. And even like sometimes people, we talk about budget, maybe, oh, the budget's not that big, so maybe we, kind of cut a few corners here there. It's like, well, that budget might not be big in terms of big concert thing. There's a reason why that's the budget for them. It's like, that's a big budget for them because they've saved to get that together.
Exactly.
Or they might be unsigned, or, things have happened. It's like, that is, it doesn't matter whether it's big or small, that's what they've got for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a reason why it's that.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah, and also it's like, that sort of perception is like, oh, if there's a big budget, it's going to be great. But it doesn't mean that at all. It's like, just because they may be the best new band you've ever heard and they've got 10 grand to do an entire thing.
Yeah, well, that's a good budget these days.
It's a good budget, yeah, but, you got
I know, yeah. But, it's like so many times, it's like, I remember what it was like being, I think the first time I went to a studio, I was maybe first year of sixth form, and we had saved, we had £250 for the day to go in. We had all saved ages to do it, all like paper rounds, different jobs. I worked in like hour price for 4 hours on a Saturday type of thing. It's kind of, we all saved to get there. And I remember that feeling of being there and the people not caring at all.
Yeah.
Like we were like, oh, we want to get 3, potentially 4 songs done in a day. Of course, that was very ambitious. But like, and the guy, we would do a take and he'd be like, is that it? And I still have that in my head when I work with people now of like, I would never want anyone to feel that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll work with bands who's like, it's their first time in the studio. It's like they've saved for ages to get in a studio. And then, they've called me.
Yeah.
Wow. Type of thing. It's like, wow, they could have been traveling from anywhere. It's like, Flover's like who I work with, who I love. And like, we've done a bunch of tracks with, like, they'll drive from Portsmouth to Manchester or wherever I think we should go and work to do a track. And it's like, wow, they've like, when you put it into like what they've saved to get there, the effort they've done in to make that, to have like a day in the studio, to make a song that they've been playing live for months, that they've been waiting to capture. It's like they deserve your all type of thing.
100%, yeah, easily. I mean, I've had exactly the same experience. First demo did, before Ocean Club, before Ocean Club, before the band, before that, the one before that. You know, and I won't obviously mention the guy's name, but it was a demo studio in Leamington Spa. Remember going in, so excited, same thing, we ran through the song and he's like, yeah, are you good? Should we do another one? Should we do the next one? Like, but you're...
Yeah, we're paying you to kind of...
Yeah. Didn't, and then you come out with it and you listen back to it on your cassette and you go, sounds shit.
Yeah.
What a waste. Yeah. And then you keep that mindset. And then when you start working with people who will give it their all, then you want to work with those people again and again and again.
It's like sometimes I'm like, it's my job to care more than you about this.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, sometimes, I'll be there and it'll be getting late and I'll be still, they're like, oh, are we done for the day? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I just want to do this and this. They're like, oh, don't, you don't have to keep going this late. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Type of thing. Yeah. So it's, you want people, and you want them to feel that they're getting the love, like, for everything from it.
Yeah, exactly.
From what we were talking about. So from that Enemy record, then I that kind of put me, that built the reputation, I guess, a little bit more, for better or for worse, maybe. But no, and start getting working on a few more established quote unquote things. Also, towards the end of that record, I've been working with someone for quite a while as like an engineer called Darren Lawson, great engineer. Like he worked at Assault and Battery for years and Flood and Moulder. Like he mainly mixes now. He mixed the last Spiritualized record.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, good dude, really good dude, type of thing. We worked a lot together for years, and then for some reason he couldn't do the last Enemy session. He was going to Australia to work on something, and I think they had hired someone to mix it, Dan Austin. So he engineered the last session. We got on really well. And like we worked together for a bunch of years then on things, kind of, and that's how I ended up doing the Mallory Knox record.
Right. Okay.
He said, "Oh, would you? It's like, you've been bringing me in on a lot of stuff over the last few years. Do you want to come in and do this one with me?" So, and then up until that point, I'd been taking a lot of like unpaid leave from school. So by that point, I wasn't a classroom teacher. I was doing more kind of like advisory things, like going into different schools, watching lessons, saying, "Oh, maybe you could try it like this." Producing teachers.
Producing teachers, yeah.
Somebody made a joke. They were like, "You're teaching teachers how to teach." So like, I'd go around and I would do things like make links with the comprehensive school to make sure like transition was okay. So I was doing a lot of that at that time, and but I'd maybe taken for granted the fact that I could get off when I wanted to get off. You know, it just fallen into, it just became habit almost. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be in for the next month, type of thing, rather than and then you know my the headmaster who you know to be so supportive in that was like you know essentially he was giving me all this time knowing that was where I wanted to go. You know, to have that, especially in a primary school setting where it's about stability and about, you know, every day is kind of being planned 4 years in advance.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But so he said, look, you need to make a choice now because this Mallory Knox record was going to be a month away. So you need to make a choice. What are you going to do? Because he said, basically, your choice is next year. I want you here full time. We can't keep going like this. It's not fair on the staff who can't get time off for like funerals while you're off. You know, they're seeing photos of you like on a plane to Ireland to make a record or going here, and which is totally understandable. Type of thing. He was like, at the moment, I'm like, you know, kind of sacrificing their well-being and positivity for someone who doesn't want to, who's working to not be in here. So, you know, which you as you know, to even get to that point, I'm so appreciative of his support to allow that to happen. You know, not many people would give you that flexibility.
No, not at all.
Not many bosses at all. No. So I'm so very grateful for that. But he said, look, I'll give you a deal. So I'll give you a sabbatical for a year. You take that for a year. If through that year you are really quiet and you haven't got any work, give me a call and I'll give you supply teaching.
Right. Okay. Blimey.
He said, if at the end of the year you've done more supply than music, maybe you need to rethink what you're doing. And then there'll be a full-time job here for you.
Wow.
So you take, and then throughout that year, I went in for a coffee once. It was that busy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that was 3-4 years ago, maybe. And like throughout that year, it was you know, I guess it was that thing. It was, I don't know whether I would just made that jump, you know, without that kind of ultimatum.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, that level of support. But as you said, it's like you could have easily just carried on like that, thinking, well, because you can't really look that far ahead. But having that ultimatum is that thing. That, I mean, I remember donkeys years ago, and my dad gave me an ultimatum, and it was like because he wanted me to go and get a job, and I was like, I was on the dole and blah blah blah, you know, trying to be in bands. He said, go and get a job, son. I said, no, I can't. I need to do this. He said, all right, I'll do you a deal. You can live at home instead of renting that shitty little apartment you're in for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, if you haven't got a record deal, you're going to go and get a job. And I just went, 23 months later, I got a record deal. Yeah, it was right.
It
was right on the cusp. But, you know, for doing that support, but then the cut-off, you know, you're basically saying, do it up to here. If it's not happening, I mean, I would have carried on anyway. I'd have got a job and then just done it anyway. But so I mean, that's awesome. And it's like you're still in that kind of very much in the guitar world, really.
But, and you know, it's like it was So I was doing a few like pop based. Well, when you say pop, you know, kind of more like electronic based stuff, maybe, and kind of obviously that Enemy record was like it was a lot of electronic to it as well as having guitars. It was kind of, you know, one of my favorite records, like growing up, like teen years, was like Weekend in the City by Block Party. Like the way that it was this band, but it was also like, it's really electronic, but it doesn't feel electronic, but it's a band, but it doesn't feel like a band, this kind of like just sound.
Yeah.
So that's what I was like when, you know, it was always this thing of like that hyper reality thing. It's like, you know, it doesn't just sound like people in a room, but it doesn't sound like it's just been made by robots.
Yeah.
You know, it was like kind of just that energy you got from it. It was like that still has a again, not the sound of it, but the feeling of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I'll have a reference. People are like, we don't want to sound like that. I'm like, yeah, but listen to her. But feel it.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
Yeah.
Then they're like, what are you talking about? It sounds dreadful. I'm like, no, but
it's the
feeling of it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I know. It was very band orientated, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though some of the sounds we were going for weren't traditionally like just being played out in a room, you were still trying to create that. So yeah, so then through that year, then that first year, I did a record with a band called To Kill a King, and then I got introduced to Ronan Keaton, who I did some writing with, which was really interesting. I did some vocal production on some Alma and Charlie XCX stuff, and it was like and then I did my first session with Kelly,
right,
as well. And it was kind of like, well, I can't go back. You know, this is
now you're hitting names that are like, you know.
Yeah,
and they're not. I mean, even though
they got, the stuff's getting released. They got deals.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not or maybe this will get heard.
Yeah.
It's like, it's gonna be more like, what's people gonna think of this?
Yes, exactly,
type of thing, which was a different mentality. It's not like, I hope people hear this. Yeah. It was more like, I wonder what people are gonna think when this is here. You know.
Yeah.
So so that year was a big first year. You know, of like.
Yeah,
out in the big bad world of it.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was amazing as well, just to be able to be like, I don't have to get this finished by Tuesday night because I'm not in school tomorrow. Just having that thing of, I'll come back to it tomorrow.
Yeah,
and those, and I still say it now to people, it's like, it's the good to great time. It could be released now, but let's just have give it 2 hours in the morning and see what we do, or see what we take out.
Yeah. Oh, generally what you take out.
Yeah.
Big time, and that. Funny that you say, let's listen to it tomorrow morning. That is like, everything is so different. You know, even it's like just letting it breathe for a bit or whatever, and also not hearing it relentlessly as you have all day long. Yeah. And then you hear it the next morning or whenever, and it just sounds different. And generally, as you said, it's take that out, take that out, take that out. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, but that thing we did at 2 a.m. was not right.
Yeah, it seemed like such a great idea.
It sounds like a good idea when you've drunk 4 glasses of your wine after dinner.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that thing of bit of space, and also it's like, look, we know we've done good stuff today.
Yeah.
Let's just turn the computer off now. Let's just like press stop on the tape.
Yeah.
Like we're using that anymore, but you know, let's press pause. Let's come back to, we know we've made good decisions today.
Yeah,
let's reflect on them tomorrow. Type of thing.
Yeah, and that is such a great position to be in. You know, those when you get to the end of the day, it's like, okay, we're going to stop now, and you know it's good work, and you might even have a playback, and everyone's like, oh yeah, awesome, few glasses, and you know everyone's in that positive mindset to hear it tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait to get in after breakfast.
Exactly,
like itching to get in, like. So like a lot of what, when I'm away working on stuff, it'll kind of be like, we'll stay up and then band, we'll have a playback. They'll go off to bed. I'll start backing up, doing audio admin or whatever, kind of tidying a few bits up. Then get up in the morning, and before breakfast, I've got to go. I'm over there listening and being like, excited, can't wait to get over, like try and do a jog or whatever, but usually end up jogging to the control room and then have a listen, and then you get in for breakfast and they're like, what's it like, how does it feel, type of thing, and it's like, you're like, we'll go, get our breakfast coffee, go over and listen to it and be like, great, wicked, on to the next one.
No, that is awesome. That is. So how did you come to work with Orla Gartland, because I love her stuff?
So I think that was that was in the second year of Freedom Pearson, freedom season. Towards the second year, again, she started to work with someone who works out a big life. Started to work with someone that works out a big life. She'd done a bunch of tunes for an EP, and then she had this other one. She'd done like a YouTube video of it, just playing it in the room, and all her fans were going mad for it. But she had in a sense finished the production of her EP. Right. But so they said, would you be up for working on this track? She said, I was like, yeah, 100%. Like voice, lyric, everything. Voice, her lyrics, her personality, just her vision, and her kind of that's another case of an artist
Yeah.
who knows what they want from their music and is So we had a day together just to demo some ideas for it, and then ended up coming to Wales and we did it, and we finished out. So I did the Why Am I Like This song first, and then from that she asked if I'd mix the rest of the EP. So mixed the rest of that EP. We've done some writing together since as well. So that was really good. We stay in touch. We're still organising some writing sessions and some bits, and But she's really good to work, because it's that thing of like her knowing when something's right and when something's wrong.
Yeah,
there's nothing better than that as well. It's like, rather than like spending 2 days on something and being like, oh, I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
Or something. It's like, which is fun, that of course it's going to happen, but like, having that sense of like, I like that, even when it's like really different to what they're doing on something, just being able to like, let's go with it. I like it. Or I don't
love that.
know.
That's great to work with people.
It's helpful.
Totally. When people are like, can make decisions like that as well. Not like, and it may well be, as you said, it's like, oh, I'm not sure, and that not sure might last a couple of days, and then what I've generally found is if people aren't sure, then they're never going to be sure.
Yeah.
And it can be like, and sometimes it's like, I don't want to say I don't like it.
Yeah. And I'm like, look, I'd rather, it's not about my, it's not about how I feel, it's not about my feelings. It's like, my job here is to, it's not my record. It's your record. It's like, there's things I like, there's tastes, there's things I'll do, there's doors I'll open. Ultimately, it's like, I don't have to listen to this ever again if I don't want to.
It's true.
You're the one who's going to have to be interviewed about this. You're the one who's going to have to play this. Well, hopefully get to play it live. You're the one who's going to have to. This is it's kind of like, I don't even have to put this on my bio. But like I'll say, it's like, I'm here for you to like
exactly
achieve the ultimate version of you in this place, or take you down this path you didn't think it could ever be. It's ultimately about the artist type of thing.
Yeah.
Again, like there's things you'll try. So I'll give me a day to try something, or like if I'm mixing something for someone, or you send something, go, can you do some remote production and see where you would take this?
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of, but like early days, like if someone didn't like, or you would have loads of notes on something, I would take it so personally. But these are all the things they don't like. But they haven't mentioned all the stuff they do like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All those decisions you've made that they've kind of just heard and not disliked.
Yeah.
Or not like so. But then the rest, it's kind of, I used to take them so personally. But now it's like, well, it's their record. It's like, I'm being hired. It's the same as like, I would say, if you hire someone to come and paint your house and they've chosen the wrong colour, it's like, well, no, this is not what we paid you to do.
And they might be like,
we like the idea. But it's not right for this room.
You're a brilliant painter, and I love the way you can cut in, and you're fantastic. It's just the wrong colour. Could you do it again?
Yeah,
because that's what it is, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a really good chat to a mastering engineer. He had mastered something that I had done, and it came back. I was like, wow, who's mastered this? And it was John Greenham. He's on Instagram as Dr. Midrange, but we're chatting, and he masters Billie Eilish stuff.
Right. Okay.
For example, and he was like, and we were chatting back and forth, and he was saying the same thing. Early days, like he used to take it so personally, but he was like, well, they're right because it's theirs.
Yeah.
They're right because they're paying you to do a job.
Yeah, exactly. And you do.
It's like, of course, we've got creative ideas.
Yes, of course. Yes.
But ultimately, it's like, you're getting paid to or you've been hired to do the job for them. It's like, it's like, they've asked you to cook the dish type of thing.
Put the mushrooms in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was really interesting, him saying that, but him also then saying the moment that the Billie Eilish thing happened, and he had that, how he gets a lot less of that now because of reputation. What he does is right, no matter what.
Yeah, that's funny. It is. Of course it is.
I'm still mastering records the same way I did before.
Yeah. But getting less notes coming back saying, "Can you change this? I don't like that."
Yeah. And it's so interesting that thing of kind of, and that was what was so interesting with, some of the maybe more like people who've been making records for more years, maybe like Kelly or Damon, or even like Charlie. When I was doing the vocal stuff on that, was like the level of trust was a lot higher, and the level of questioning was a lot lower.
Yeah,
because they'd been through that process so many times. They were like, well, there's a reason why you've been paid to be in this room.
Yeah. So
and it was it was so liberating as well, because it was like you didn't feel like, oh, should I try it? You were like, let's just do this.
Let's try it.
And then all of a sudden they were like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Because on the Kelly record, I was panicking for a while because he was like so quiet, and I was like, you into this? He was like, yeah, I'm just letting you do your thing.
Right.
He's like, I won't say anything unless I don't like something.
Right.
And that was such like, for the first like few hours, I was like, this is going to be over by the end of it. Like, he is not into this type of thing. But it was just his way of, he just lets you do your thing. Yeah. It's like, he was like, well, that's what you're here to, that's why you're here to make this, to let you, it's like, there's no point me overlooking you, otherwise I might as well be doing it.
Yeah, true. No, exactly. It's funny, isn't it? And it's funny that she said, when you get that level of trust, it's really liberating, because you go, oh, okay, cool. So I can then throw in the stuff that I might have just kept under wraps, thinking, oh,
that's good.
Yeah. I'm not going to say this because in case they immediately hate me for it. So you just end up throwing stuff in. Yeah.
So those situations, and they, you take them onto the next one then with you, because it gives you that confidence and almost like, a little stamp of approval almost, isn't it? Type of thing. And you kind of, you get so much from that in terms of, I'm, when you know what people they've been in the room with and made records with, and you're like, they're, and what they've done and what they've gone on to do, you're kind of like, well, if I had this, I'm being seen like that through their eyes, then, I faked it again.
I got away with it again.
I got away with it again. That's another, I haven't been found out yet.
I think that's the way most of us think, though, isn't it? Because you always have that thing like, oh, I got away with that. Even though you go, okay, this is brilliant, I gave it my all, that was a really good idea, I wasn't sure about that, but they really liked it. And then you go on to the next thing, and you think, because we kind of make it up as we go along. Obviously, we build up experience and all that.
Yeah.
But even
and you can make it up quicker.
Yes, you make it quicker,
And with more confidence.
And you look like you know what you're doing more as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that imposter complex, isn't it?
I think everyone's got it.
It's kind of like, and it's there with, I think that's just part of the creative ego and anxiety, that sliding scale between like, I'm incredible, I'm
shit,
nothing.
Yeah.
I've got all the answers. I don't even understand the question.
But it's funny, that is so right. I mean, I even get it when
every 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I even get it when I sit down at the piano sometimes.
Yeah.
I start playing and go, fucking hell, I'm amazing. Yeah. And then I might play sometimes sit down and go, you're shit.
Yeah. It's kind of that mentality, I guess, of I don't know better.
Yeah.
I can always be better.
Yeah.
I haven't got there yet. I think the moment you think you're there is like, then it's over, because I think there's somebody who said, well, what's the saying? It's like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room, absolutely, yeah.
And like always having, and it's like, that's again, because I try and keep that in mind when I like collaborating as much as possible, whether it be more than one producer, quote unquote, in the room, or more than one different things, because it's like, when I first started, early days, like early 20s, maybe I was like, I want to write it, I want to produce it, I want to mix it. And then it's like, okay, then that's like 3 times you. So the 3 times you're good at it being there, but the 3 times things, or like you kind of also missing out on so much. Whereas now it's kind of like, I'll say, over lockdown, for example, I worked with a session drummer. No, what do you want? I was like, I want you to play the drums. You do you.
Yeah.
We can chat about it after, maybe work it, but it's like, if I tell you what to drum, I might as well just program it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The reason I've asked you to drum on it is because I want your personality in it.
Yeah.
So, and it's like kind of, and so having that collaborative thing, and it's kind of, you see it a lot in like maybe from like the hip hop world, where like, Kanye West would like rent out buildings of producers in every room making different beats, and like, going in, like having all this cross pollination between them all to make, it's like, and then it's been like the ultimate collaborator of kind of, we got this and there, and then we would never have got this.
Yeah, exactly.
type of thing. So so that thing of, I'm sure having that mentality of, oh, I'm not there yet, I'm not, I haven't got all the answers is why I guess why you keep getting asked back as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, it's that, and also giving it your best on everything you get asked to do. Instead of going, I don't really like the song, I'll just go boom bap. Even if you don't particularly like the song, you will give it your best and believe in what you're doing at that moment to try and make it something that has a spark to it.
Exactly. Or like, well, I'll play it and I'll play something so that I do like it.
Yes, exactly. And it may only even
at least
be,
the beat's good.
Yeah, and it might only even be just like a tiny little fill you do, and you go, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
But at least, and then that little bit of you loving that little bit that you've done, people can see it straight away, particularly if you're in the room with them, and that breeds their confidence in the song, and then the engineers brings that to them, and then the producers like that. Again, going back to what you said at the beginning, that positive thing, as opposed to...
Well, that's funny, like us, we recently have done like, it's funny you say that, like we've done a tape note session for the Damon record.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that recently, and he said something on that, which was like, it didn't come up in the studio, we haven't spoken about it since, but I was talking about the people we brought in to play on it. Because I got a few different friends to like do a few different parts to it, and he was like, oh, when they all came in, they were just so energetic, and they said how much they loved the music. And he said that just gave me so much more confidence to finish it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And, so, and it's so, like exactly as you just say, like that was, and it was interesting him saying that, you felt the change in the room, but like afterwards for him to say that on reflection, like, oh, well, having all these people coming in and bringing their energy to it, and like these session players who, may not have been into it, but just played the part because they wanted to get paid to play a part. But they came in, they gave such energy to it and such positivity, and just more than just playing notes. They gave personality and they wanted to be in it,
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm just going to finish this up, and I'm going to ask you this question, and it goes one or two ways. People immediately answer, or they go, oh, for fuck's sake. But then they answer anyway. So, because I want to we put links to these as well.
Okay.
I want you to pick 3 things you've worked on that stand out for you for whatever reason.
Okay.
Could be your own stuff. Could be your own. Back in the day when you did just working on your own stuff. Anything.
3 things that. So there are. It's interesting because there's so.
Man, you can do 5 if you want. if that makes it easier.
I guess there's like turning point ones maybe, and then there's ones that are like I'm just so pleased where the artist went with them. Maybe it's like maybe something off that Enemy record, just because it was just a big turning point in terms of, there's a song on there called Waterfall, which like I had done the music for something else actually. And I had played it. I had just finished it. It was another song, and I just played the instrumental in the room. I don't know why we were playing it, but I played the instrumental in the room, and I remember Tom and Andy going, "What is that?"
Wicked.
And I was like, "Oh, it's something I'm working on." They were like, "Can we have it? Can we write to it?" And I remember thinking, "Oh, wow, that's great." And and that's. I remember John as well loving it, and like saying, "Oh, it's like Simple Minds or something," and kind of them loving it. So that was, and then that was a kind of like a big thing of like, something that I had kind of put together, them absolutely falling over themselves for type of thing, and then inspiring them to write to it. So that was a big one. Early, I guess before that, like my first writing split, which was like it was an accident how it happened. Like when I think back on it as well, it's kind of how hard I made it for them. So with Funeral for a Friend, for example, so they used to have the 2 singer thing, like the singer and the shouter. The guy who shouted, who's an incredible painter and artist, by the way, Matthew Evans, and he goes under the artist named Snow Skull. Incredible imagery, incredible stuff. So like he had left that band, and they asked if I would go down and be the shouter. So we did a day together, but I had written all these lyrics, and we wrote a song Then 2 days later, they were like, "Oh, look, we're not gonna go with the two vocalist thing anymore." I was 16. I was absolutely, I was gutted because they just had like an Australian tour booked. I was halfway through my A levels. So I was like, "Oh, leave! I'll do it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen." But anyway, 2 days later, they said it's not gonna. We're not gonna have the two vocalist thing. They're probably thinking like 5 people is cheaper than 6.
Yeah, probably.
Which is fair. Yeah. Well, of course, it's kind of yeah. And they said, but we would love to use the song we wrote together. And I was like, well, no, it's my song. I was like, I want to use it for my stuff. It's like they're my lyrics. I want to use it. They're like, well, please, can we, I was like, no. Anyway, yeah, but how different it's changed. How different my mindset has changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then the night before the album was being released, like I may or may not have found a copy online. This was like 2 years later. 2 years later, found a copy online before, and I was in uni at the time. Me and my housemate downloaded, listened to it. I was like, press pause. I'll speak you the rest of this song. And they'd used it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And, so I spoke to, I was like, guys, I said, they're like, oh, we're sorry. Like, we were up against it. The label really wanted to release the song, kind of. But anyway, it was all sorted out. They were like, completely like, yeah, of course he wrote that bit, sorted out. And then, so that was a big turning point in terms of like, and then I was like, I got like PRS. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I'll give more people lyrics.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I bought my first Telecaster. I still use it now. I've still got it now, type of thing, like proper Telecaster, with it. And so that's a big turning point. That was a big turning point. And that song was called Storytelling.
Right.
So, yeah. So that was the big thing of like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm a songwriter now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was before, obviously before the Enemy one. And then... and then I would say there's a song on Kelly's record called Let England Burn, which is, a lot of that record it's called off the album 2042 we got to work on, and it's called Let England Burn, and just some of the conversations we had while making that album, because it's very, very personal about, being kind of, a Black British male. In current times. And what's so crazy is like, we made that album like 2-3 years ago type of thing. But like, I listened back on it like over the last few weeks and how lyrically it was like, welling up type of thing. I can't begin to imagine some of the experiences and, but just being part of that album and chatting to him in the talks and that, and there's a record and there's a line in that which he was like, I don't know whether to change this line on that, and it was like burn the cenotaphs,
right,
and start again. He was like, and it was so interesting. That was when he was like, what I want to say is like how much they symbolize history, but how we worship so much of history, pay respect to so much of history and look at so much of history, but it's kind of like we don't know the full history. And I like at the time I was kind of like, we were chatting about it, but like obviously over the last few weeks and months, how that's been, how that's played out, and the conversations we've had now is kind of. But he was saying that to me in a room like 2-3 years ago. Was very, so that song, it's called Let England Burn, and there's lyrics in that as well, which. He's saying, "Oh, Mum, I've tried to fit in. I've tried to win at their games, but they won't. And things like that. And it's kind of, check it out.
Yeah, well, the thing is, that's art right there.
Yeah,
isn't it? Exactly. Going back to what we were saying right at the beginning, it's like you got the entertainer, who would never say that.
No, because I won't get hired to do this, or I won't be the face of, exactly.
And then you get the artist.
Yeah. So that was, and there's a song we've just put, like, it was a song we made on that record, but for that record, but it only got released like at the start of July because we had to wait to get a sample clearance, like from Rubber Dub Soldier.
Right.
There's a sample of that in it, and that's called Melanin. And again, the lyrics of that it's kind of. Again, like, we made that like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Wow. He had written it 3-4 years ago.
Right, yeah.
But again, like the lyrics on that, like when we put it out, it was as if it would just been made and released.
Yeah, amazing. And again, I'll kick him in the balls again. See, Daniel Eck has no idea about that. If he heard that song, Melanie, he'd think, oh, they must have written it last week.
Yeah, or, this is why we should be making stuff and putting it out all the time.
You can do this all the time. Well, actually, it's got a 6-year history, you wanker.
Yeah, well, 150-year history,
well,
200 years.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
I know, in terms of making the back track.
Yeah. Wow.
But, so yeah, those ones on that record, I was, there were some, deep moments on it type of thing in chats. And also, not only that, but getting to work with someone who, like, hero almost from Grow, and really influential in the thing, some of the records that he's made in the past, like what they've shaped in terms of why I do what I do.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. It's incredible, isn't it? The way those things can come about. As you said, the first Block Party album, it was a really big thing for you, and then you're like, here I am with him. Yeah,
and he's asking what I think of his, So that was great. And then I'm trying to think on the new Damon record, on the new Badly Drawn Boy album, which one to choose? I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is. Is when I'm there just, it's the lyrics in it, and again, the chats about the lyrics, the chats about what the song means, where it's coming from. It's like some of the lyrics in it are, I'm tired of climbing ladders just to slip down all the snakes, type of thing. Enough of swings and roundabouts just to make the same mistakes. My patterns of behaviour are beginning to wear thin, can see the destination but never sure where to begin.
Right, wow.
And it was about and then the chorus is like, sometimes I'm not sure what it is. There are days when I remember to exist. Yeah, so I'm so blessed with you by my side, but the true test is how you feel when you're alone.
Oh, blimey.
So that was the second song we had worked on.
Right.
And he had played me that like on the piano, just sat next to him. Like, and I was just like, he was like, I'm the first person to ever hear this.
Wow.
Type of thing, which was like, so, and then to create it with him and make it. And also, it was the first one we had finished a vocal for.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just thinking how great he sounded on it. And it's a single track vocal throughout. There's no harmonies or anything. There's no double tracks. It's just, it's almost like got a big band feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody said to him, like after it was made, it's like, oh, you can imagine Michael Bublé singing this type of thing. Like, it's got that, it's like, got the 6/8 feel, but it's got like some brass on it and just the way the way it swings type of thing. But yeah, just the kind of how jolly it sounds. But then when you listen to that lyric and you're like, wow, this is someone who's been through, this is life.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
This isn't someone who's like, you could have only got to this, you can only write a song like this after having lived type of thing.
Yeah,
which is, a problem now. We're always on the hunt for the new. There's like, and it's kind of, there's these artists out there and there's these people who've like, they've seen things, they've been through things that like we can learn from, that we can hear experience about type of thing. And we're always after like, it's such a shame now where it's almost like, there's this thing of your first album's your biggest one, and then you try and keep it and then it's just about maintaining the drop off.
Yeah.
You see it so much where it's like there's this big explosion at the start when it's all exciting and we found, the Emperor's New Clothes, and then it's like slowly just manage the drop off until we can get to the next one.
Yeah.
Whereas like, of course, there's a few things that go through and just keep getting bigger and bigger, maybe like 1975 or like some, things in the pop world like Dua Lipa or something. Yeah. But they're against the trend.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of, kind of, and, but then what about people like they've had relationships that have failed, relationships that have worked, they've brought up children, they've kind of, it's like these people have got things that we need to hear. And it's
absolutely, yeah.
In the past, it wasn't until like your fourth record that you had made it.
Yeah. Oh, no, totally. It's like, if you take the career of the Chili Peppers now, they'd have been dropped immediately.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, actually...
Well, Idlewild, you know, we talk about that Idlewild.
Yeah.
After that first record, it'd have been like, oh, do we, don't we? And then they'd have never got a chance to make 100 Broken Windows or the remote part.
Yeah. Or you'd have no Tom Waits back catalogue.
No.
You know, and all the amazing things.
Or like U2, for you know, it's kind of, rightly or wrongly, they just keep getting bigger. But so that's that 1, 2. I've given 2 off, 1 out of it. That's 4 already.
That's 4, yeah. Well,
that's 4.
Throw another one in to make it 5. Go on.
Oh, I tell you, let's go with the most recent one I've written. Then maybe most recent. I've written a song with a song. I've written a song with a band called Walt Disco.
Okay.
And it came out last week. It's called Hey Boy, You're One of Us, and it's kind of they're such an exciting new band from Glasgow. And I've been doing a lot. I went up there to do a writing session. I've been writing with them a lot down this way as well. And so I flew up there. We were in this like tiny little like whitewashed concrete room. And yeah, they're such fun to work with. And I came up like we were chatting about like Marilyn Manson and glam stuff. And also like the kind of scene up there, like it's so colourful at the moment, so exciting, you know, like the fashion and so we wrote this song that's about like kind of about a boy exploring other genders clothes and you know, and trying to find themselves. And it's like, hey boy, you're one of us type of thing. And it was an amazing song to write with those guys. So
wicked. That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like I played it the other day. My wife was like, is this Adamant? I was like, no, it's just come out today, and it's something I wrote 2 years ago type of thing. But it's a good one. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So I'd go with those for now.
Oh, that's perfect.
When we do part 2, I'll have enough.
Well, you were good there. You kind of almost fell in between the two camps. You're like, and then started doing them.
Yeah.
That's it, because it's been the two things. People have really just gone like they've been asked this before, and they just go ping, and you've got other people going.
I've never been asked that before, so it was good. Yeah, I've never been asked that, but it was so like when I do writing sessions with people, my first question is always. Like, can I have 5 songs you wish you wrote?
Oh, nice.
Not 5 songs you like the sound of, or whatever. It's about the song.
Yeah, the song, yeah.
The song. What songs do you wish you wrote? And then that's the start of our day, always.
Wicked. Oh, that's
so, like,
cool.
when we do one, I'll And then it's about 3 hours of therapy. And then a song's there.
And then a song, yeah.
No joke. I was on one, we were 2 hours in. And they're like, when are we going to start writing a song? And I was like, you've already written a song. Thing. I've been taking notes for the last 2 hours of the chat, and it's here. Yeah. You know, and I said it's written. We just haven't put it to music yet.
I like that. That's good. Yeah. That's a really good approach. Instead of, because I know some people who do it, and they obviously not anymore because they've got more emotional intelligence. I think is a good way, or empathy.
Yes.
They've just immediately gone, all right, let's start. We don't know each other. Let's just you play some chords, I'll play some chords, and it's just like, well,
yeah.
Everyone's then like, I've got that weird feeling. Well, we don't know each other. We don't know what we're doing, and immediately it's kind of everyone's being a bit, inverted or introverted. Sorry, you know what I mean? And then it's like that's such a great approach.
It's from teaching.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
Like trying to get ideas going. You know, it's kind of like, right, guys, let's chat and get some ideas going, and then see where it takes us, type of thing, you know? Yeah. So that's where that's from.
That's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you go on and have a Sunday.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a massive virtual and real round of applause and appreciation for the fabulous Gethin Pearson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been brilliant. It's been lovely. Thank you.